Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I'd show you guys how I build my desert starter houses in Minecraft. Now for this tutorial I'm basically going to do it in two parts. So the first part is going to be me building this in Minecraft using my resource pack, and the second part is going to be me using the default Minecraft 1.14.2 vanilla textures. So you guys can decide, how you want to build it really, because they look very different depending on which texture pack you use. So I want to show you guys how to build it using straight up vanilla blocks and textures, and my ones also. So I hope you guys enjoy. And a quick note, the download link to my resource pack will be in the description below, so if you really want to use it and you like the look of the desert house, make sure to download. Right guys, so to start with, we're going to build the desert house using my resource pack. So as you can see, this really does not use a large amount of blocks. So for this one, we're going to be using sandstone blocks, stairs and slabs. I'm also going to use cut sandstone because in my texture pack that looks like bricks. However, you don't have to use this, as you'll see with the default texture pack later on. Furthermore, I also use spruce fence gate and the button. And for the door, I use jungle doors. I also use oak trapdoors, which work as kind of like shutters for the windows, and I use an oak log, which I'll use on the ceiling later on. To start with, build the floor plan as shown. We then raise the walls of the house 4 blocks, making sure to add a hole for the door, as well as the 2 windows. I then make sure to add the windows in as well as the door. Make sure to add those oak trapdoors on top, which act as kind of window shutters. Next, I go around the back of the house and add the stairs to the top of the roof. I got a little bit confused here, and I was kind of a bit confused with the shape of the stairs, but I get it right. Next we add the blocks on top. Now we'll add the kind of crenellation like shapes along the sides as well. And then add an oak beam as well as sandstone slabs on either side. This is the ceiling / roof of the house. Next up is to add texturing. So for this I use cut sandstone. This is really random and subjective, so you can kind of do it however you want. But I decide, you can copy it like I did, or you can, do it however you want to. It's really, there's no set way of doing it. The whole point of that is to basically add a lot of texturing and also kind of difference in the walls. What you'll notice with the default version is it doesn't look as good purely because the blocks don't really merge so well, whereas in my texture pack they do. So, it looks a lot better here. Next up, I decide to add stairs into the walls. Now this again shows a lot more kind of variation and weathering to the build. Again, you don't really have to add this, but I like to do it because it makes a lot of difference with the build. It's also worth noting not to overdo this step. Now it's really easy to add loads of stairs, however if it gets to the point where you've added too many stairs, you'll end up with a ruin, so don't overdo it with the stairs. Next up I add the buttons on the sides, and that's the basic house pretty much done. Now to really take this build to the next level, I like to add a lot of vegetation and extra details around the base of the building. Now you can add crates and stuff, however I decided not to do that in the tutorial, but feel completely free to add any details or wheel building techniques you want to add. So as you can see, I'm adding paths, and I eventually add one to the stairs at the back. I also add leaves, grass, etc. to add a bit more colour and kind of vegetation to the build. It's also worth mentioning not to, to use stuff that actually makes sense in the area. So for example, as you can see, I have used bushes and things, however I haven't overdone it, I haven't added flowers and such, because that's kind of unrealistic for a desert setting. Sure, some flowers could grow in a desert, but in this case I want to kind of stray away from the flowers and brighter colours and kind of stick to more duller tones, but they still look really good. Okay, so this next segment of the video is basically going to be me building this using the default Minecraft textures. So I'll explain to you guys what you want to use for default Minecraft textures, and I'll show you how to build it with description as well. If you don't want to carry on watching now because you like using my resource pack, then that's totally cool. However, if you also want to learn how to build it in the default resource pack, which is more likely, then carry on watching. Okay, so if you're using the default resource pack, there are a few kind of somewhat, I wouldn't call them major changes, but quite a few changes with the blocks. So first off, we're going to keep the sandstone, so you've got the sandstone stairs, block and slab. However, instead of using cut sandstone, we're going to be using smooth sandstone, which works well with the sandstone, well, the base sandstone block. We're going to stick with the spruce fence, fence gate and button. However, we're going to use a spruce trapdoor and door as well, instead of the jungle and the oak. To start with, for the default build, you want to recreate the floor plan as shown. Next, we want to build up the walls and leave spaces for the door and the windows. Make sure to punch out the holes for each window. And then go around and also add the door in as well. Now for this one, I build the oak beam in a different place, however you can do it along the lengthways as well, like I showed earlier. And then add the stairs along the back. Also, don't worry about the other window, I added that in later, I completely forgot about it. Okay, so there's the stairs, now we add the blocks in either corner, before adding the little crenellation details as well. I add the buttons in here, however you might want to wait until after the texturing, depending on if you actually want to add the texturing or not. Okay, so here's when I actually added the window in. You don't actually have to add the window there, but I decided to because I wanted to break up the wall a bit. So this is the bit where I decided to add the texturing, I'm pretty sure, so here I'm using the smooth sandstone, I think it is, to kind of break up the textures. Now, I'm sure you can agree with me, it does not look nearly as good compared to my resource pack one, however it still looks pretty good for a default build. Yeah, so as you can see here, I was probably a bit hasty adding those buttons, but you don't have to add the buttons in then, you can just wait until you've textured. Okay, so at this point I was kind of okay with the texturing. It doesn't really look that good, I'll be honest, but it works. So now I added the stairs as well, which kind of, as I said, add kind of more detail to the walls and stuff. Okay, and I think with the stairs we're pretty much done here. Anyway guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. This is a pretty cool house design, I'm really happy with it. I've also got quite a few other desert house designs in my building world that I hope to do tutorials on in the future. I really hope you guys also enjoy the fact that instead of just using my resource pack for this kind of build, I also use the default one later on as well. Now I know not all of you want to use my resource pack, and that's totally cool, but it's something I'm really used to using and rely on quite heavily. So in cases where such as this with the cut sandstone and smooth sandstone looking completely different on the builds, I will use the default texture pack in the tutorials. However, if it's on something like the previous start houses for example, where I have actually used my texture pack, well then I won't need to change it out. But for cases like these, I will also add a segment where I'm building in complete default, so you guys can kind of follow along. Anyways, I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the download link to my resource pack down in the I'm mumbling today, in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.